see where the hips are, but you don't see a pointed hip. You know, they're not. That's how, to me, that's how you know if your dogs are in pretty good shape as far as don't have worms. I mean, they can have a big belly and have be full of worms. When they got big belly, it's an analyze. Big belly don't mean nothing.
That's right.
But it's those hip movements. Oh man, once I show them a coon, they're gonna be just wild Indians. My name is Bruce Conkey, and I live here in San Mateo, Florida. That's in northeast Florida, just about west of St. Augustine, about 30 miles. I was born and raised in Florida. Started off in Miami in my early days, down in the Everglades. So in about 1980, I said I had enough of South Florida and I needed a more country life, rural life. So I came up here, and I've been here since 1980. Got a small piece of property here. I got 6 acres that my house and stuff sits on, and then next door I got another 10 acres. And I kind of play with my dogs on the 10 acres, and they got a fenced area back there about 4 acres, and gives them plenty of room to run and roam and learn things. And I think that's the way you need to do it. Plus, just give them a little bit of space and let them learn a little bit. And then if they're learning the bad things, then you step in and teach them the right things. And I've been coon hunting since about 17, 18. So that had to be about 66, 67 I started. And I started in the Miami Herald down there. The paper was about as thick as a phone book back then. We don't have phone books no more. Some people don't know what that is. But I saw an ad for a walker puppy. And I met a guy, and I got a puppy, and we started hunting, and I met another guy. I met 2 guys that way. And we would start hunting, and one of the guys, we drive all the way over every Saturday night. We drive all the way over to the other side of the state, across Alligator Alley to Naples, Florida. And there was an area over there that they put roads out pretty close. They were going to develop it. They call it the squares. We hunted over there. And me and my other buddy, we went down, drove about 80 miles down Tamiami Trail out to Monroe Station, which is not there anymore, talked about still, back in the Everglades, and we hunted down there. Everything was walk hunting. We turned the dogs loose and we just followed. There's no tracking collars. It's all you and the dogs and what they sounded like. And that was, you had a compass, of course, and you actually learned the stars pretty well. And once you start understanding the stars and watching them when it's not cloudy, they can guide you just as good as a compass can. But again, that's probably a lost art for most. And right now, if I had to do it, I probably don't know if I could get out of the woods with the stars because I haven't looked at them in so long. Everybody is a little different on their pup selection. Some guys, they raise their pups themselves, so they know the genetics behind them as they're breeding that they've had for years. It's always a little bit different. I studied dogs from the beginning, and I kind of went with the house-bred dogs. And I studied their pedigrees, and I studied their bloodlines. Also, too, back in the early, I don't know, it'd be in the 70s, I met Roy Tramble through an ad in American Cooner. And he had some pups for sale, and I got one from Mr. Tramble. And that was Mr. Roy a long time before PCA or PKC. I mean, he was just a coon hunter back then, like the rest of us. And got struck up a friendship with him. But as far as the pups, because I don't get my pups, raise them myself, I look for a genetic foundation out of a lot of dogs I like. Because I think there's some lines that track more than others. I think there's some lines that hunt harder than others. And I think there's some lines that tree more than others. And down here in Florida, the ones that tree quite a bit, they can aggravate you at times because it's tough getting through these woods. And when you get there, if they don't have a coon, you don't really feel like getting on them and sending them off knowing you're probably going to walk through another slip tree 3/4 of a mile away in a swamp that you're fighting through. So it's tough down here really getting on one. And two, by the time you figure out whether they really got a coon or not, you've been at the tree 10 or 15 minutes. Now today with the thermals, that's changed a little bit, but we're talking about you started off with 3-cell flashlights and then some of the better lights that came out, but still, it's so hard to find these coons, especially this time of year in these trees. And so you really can't get on a dog like you should. I mean, I've walked away from several trees, many trees, and they got out there and was able to look back and see the coon that I couldn't see at the tree. And then there's other trees, you know, that I would search at, you know, that just felt there wasn't nothing there. But that's 10 or 15 minutes later, and I don't think that's really the time to get on a dog. You need to get on it and set it on pretty quick. You know, I think that with these puppies, you do your homework on what the genetics has to offer. Like you got your wipeout dogs, you got your rat-a-tat dogs, you got your house-bred dogs, you got your Finley River-bred dogs, you got different lines of dogs, and you kind of know what those genetics are going to bring to the table. So that's what you start off and you go with and see if those dogs have those genetics. But once you get that puppy, you get that 8-week-old puppy, 10-week-old puppy. I'm not going to say genetics still are important because that's their foundation. That's what guides them. But then it becomes more about the environment. What you do with the pups, how you deal with the pups, how you expose them to things, how you correct them, and how you teach them. And the chances, you got to give them the opportunity. If these pups sit in a pen, they're never going to do anything. But too, down here in Florida, you can start them a little bit too young at times because right now it's tough. I mean, right now we're sitting here 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's probably the mid-80s headed toward 90. By the time I got to the woods, it'd be 90. I've hunted a lot in the daytime and the wintertime, early mornings and daytime, but you just can't do that this time of year, and even at night. We start off at night, it don't get dark to about 9 o'clock now, and it's still, it's maybe back down into 89 or 88 by then, and a lot of times it's still in the 90s, and the humidity is awful. It's just hard on young and old dogs alike. So I think you're best, if you're not going to give the pup an experience that they could learn something from, you'll probably be better off staying home that night. Now with an older dog, yeah, you need to expose the older dogs to different things, and your older dog should be able to take those things. But with a young dog that really doesn't know much, I don't think that taking them out there and exposing them to an area that the coon ain't moving in or they're laid up because it's too hot, you're not teaching them anything. Now, what I do is when I get a pup, generally they're 8, 10, maybe 12 weeks of age. And the most important thing is, like I talked about, the environment you raise them in. And you have to really respect your dogs, and they can learn to respect you. And by respecting your dogs, that gives you a little bit extra drive to take care of them dogs. And it's so easy to get lazy and not do what's right, but you can't do that when you're dealing with these puppies because those puppies they're dependent on you to do the right things. And that means keep them healthy. And I think what I do is when I get a pup, say 2 weeks of age, I generally feed them Purina puppy chow, and I moisten it, and then once it gets soft, I put in a little bit of canned dog food because I think that smells a little bit better than the puppy chow. And then I'll take that out there, and when I'm going to put that bowl down, well, there's 1 puppy, 2 puppies, or maybe a litter of puppies that I have here. I call them all pup. They're all the same name, pup, come here. And they learn to come running, and then the first few times you do that, they just kind of wallow in that, like little pigs. But then they learn to eat, and what I do is I watch them very closely. I don't put up with any aggression around a feed pen, or feed pan, I should say. I get on one, and when you're dealing with puppies, if you watch how a mother handles the puppies, you kind of model yourself after how the mother gets on them. And I see the mother, if the puppy get rambunctious or not doing what she wants, she'll take her mouth and put it around the puppy's neck and put a little pressure on the puppy's neck, and that puppy respond to that. And if I get a puppy that's, weaned from his mother and we're out there in the feed pan, I'll grab him by the neck, not viciously, but I'll put some pressure on his neck. I'll scold it, maybe spank it a little bit. What I like to do is I've got a horse crop, about 14 inches long, and it's just got some folded imitation leather on the end, and I can hit myself as hard as I want with it. I ain't going to damage nothing, but it's got a sting, and the noise and the sting will get their attention. So, and a couple times you just show them that horse crop, and they understand what you want. But you just got to kind of teach them right from wrong, and as far as around the feed pan. But the most important thing is I watch them what they eat. Now, the first day I got one, I don't know how much they generally eat, but after a couple of days, you know how much to feed them and how much they normally eat. And if one falls off with feed, one don't eat that day, that's generally a problem with worms coming in or a health issue. And you got to stay with puppies. You got to stay on top of worms. That's the main thing. You get your dogs, they're young. I mapped out a plan of what I wanted to do with these dogs, and I put it actually on my phone in notes. This month. And my overall goals over about, the time they were 2 months old, 3 months old to 6 months old. Well, right now they're 6.5 months old. My goal was to socialize them with, getting in the truck, riding around in the truck. Most of you know a lot of puppies the first time or two in the truck. They slobber. Some of them are throwing up. They got to get used to that. And I did that with them. I got a little buggy parked over there. I'd put them in there, and if I went by gas with a lawnmower, I'd take them to the gas station with me. I'd just ride them around in the afternoon. I'd put them in my truck. Take them to the store one day. Take them to the vet one day. Just get them in the truck and get them used to riding. And one of them, he barked like a son of a gun in the truck the first couple of times, but he's calmed down now. But getting him used to the truck, I wrote down a plan of when I was going to expose them to the woods. I got 10 acres next door that's a little bit rougher woods, and I got the center mowed out. So I'd go back here to where they're 10, and I'd load them up, and I'd just drive them next door. And I'd unload them, and I'd let them run around. The problem is, that worked good for about a week. But after a week, that 10 acres wasn't enough to hold them. I looked, I was watching them, and I couldn't see them the whole time. But I was watching them, and then they disappeared. So I went look for them, and they crossed the ditch, which I didn't think they would do. It was full of water. And then they crossed the road, and that road has modern traffic on it.
They're eating your chair.
He wasn't going to let that go. He was just ready.
Yeah, you go back there. They don't chew on me.
What's up? You're next.
And that road had modern traffic, so I did that for about a week. Let them play around, let them run around, and they go out, venture out. And they got to learn the woods. They learn to get over. They're down trees over there. There's some logs that are down. There's holes. So they just learn what all that stuff was. But then after that, and I had all this in my notes, and after that, now I got that 4 acres back here, and in the morning I let them out, let them run around, let them play. Sometimes I go back there in a buggy, practice getting them in the truck and out of the truck. Oh God, he must chew on me today. And get them in the truck and get them out of the truck, and just get them used to, and I take the buggy, and this morning I exercised for 20 minutes, just driving around. It's good for young dogs. They develop their muscles and they develop their joints and stuff develop better if they got a place to run. If they're just in a dog pen and they're pacing back and forth in that dog pen, they're not doing as good as a dog that maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes a day just has an area to run in. But I'm fortunate that I have that here, but some people don't have it. And I've raised some puppies in Miami that I can just come in a pen all the time because they had to be there. But it just makes it so much easier. And again, you can improve their environment, I think. If you just let them learn on their own and learn sometimes when you're not there. They're out there running around, they're playing, they learn how to get around, they learn how to get up on stuff, learn how to chew on stuff. But it's fun. I mean, it's not only you know, it's your responsibility as having a dog to bring it and get the best out of it. But it's an enjoyment, and it's got to be an enjoyment, or you're not going to do it. It's just like now. You see, they're tied up over here. I've read about everything that I could in American Cooter, John Wick. If somebody that wrote something about coonhounds, I read it. And John Wick, a long time ago, and I've done this for years. When you get a puppy, he talked about tying them out and teaching them to be on a chain. If you got them in a pen or whatever, now some people keep their dogs on a chain, so it's a different story. But the first time or two you put a puppy on a chain, he's going to be kind of wild. And he's going to be pulling. And he's going to be snatching. So what you got to do is you got to make sure the collar's tight. Because if he gets loose, all you did is teach him to escape. So you got to make sure the collar's tight. You can't get loose. You get a secure chain, a short chain, and you tie them up. Preferably where they have some shade, and they got to have water because they're gonna stress themselves. But you just walk away and leave them, and then what they do, they learn it ain't you, it's that chain. And so they don't want to associate that with you. And like right now, these two here, I did it one time, and these two pups here, they kind of did everything I've asked them to do, and they done it in a positive way. It's kind of, I keep wanting to know when the bad's going to creep in, but they're two of the calmer pups that I've had in a long, long time. And you know, but like I say, you do all that at 4 months old, 5 months old, but then at some point you want to start taking them to the woods. You want to expose them to a coon. These pups have never seen a coon, but that's going to be on the agenda in the next week or two. But right now we're in 90-degree days and 90-degree nights, and it's kind of tough on man and beast out there. And I don't want to stress them, but we did last week with Corey and my grandson Zach. We took them, and they did. I stayed at the truck. They were never at the truck with me until when they turned loose. They left, and when they came back, the boys come back out of the woods. They came back with the boys. They messed around, worked with the dogs, other dogs, and I had them on my Garmin. One time they were like 650 yards out there, and they were making big loops and circles. You know, the boys, they saw more of what they were doing, and I know they were probably following another dog around. But my expectation was just hopefully they would leave the truck and go hunting. And I don't know if they were hunting, but they did leave the truck and they did stay in the woods, and they seemed to enjoy them. And that's all I could ask for. But like I say, I think everybody needs to put together a plan, and that way they can read it. And sometimes if you understand if you're falling behind, or you understand if the pups are falling behind, or if you have to back up. But you know, I put set goals. 4 months do this, 5 months do this, and 6 months do this. And in about 6 months, 7 months, I like to start having them in the woods. Hopefully the weather will get some rain and the weather will cooperate. But I've kind of met all my goals with these pups. I've got them kind of know what a leash is and be a little calm. Like I said, I took them one time to the woods, and they did good there. Of course, keeping them healthy. I just warned about it again last week. You got to stay on top of health issues all the time. And it just, you know, but having goals, and the pups kind of change your goals. You can't have the same goal for every pup. Some pups are a little more mature. Some pups you got to get on a little more. So you got to kind of adjust a little bit. But it's about time to show them a coon, and I'm fixing to maybe trap one and show them one. And when I do that, I don't do a whole bunch with trap coon. You know, as we've been talking, I've had the pups tied up here. They've been pretty decent. I got my little horse crop hanging up in case I need it. Show them what it is. They see it, they say, oh my gosh. But anyway, what I got here is I've got a small fenced area right here. This back here is generally my house dogs area. But over here, if I get a puppy, I would have it up here by the house where I can take care of it. It's got a dog house over there. And it's a small area. That barn shed there, that's where I've raised the pups in. See, there's an air conditioner inside, there's a heater in there, and the back third is fenced off, and I got a doggy door going out the back into that field, which I section off if I got a mother with pups in there. and raise the pups in there gently in a blue swimming pool. And I've got the flooring in there like you have in the kitchen, where I can clean it out and keep it clean. I mean, that for as far as health of these dogs and worms and worm infestation and fleas, you got to keep the area clean, sanitized, and you got to keep it sprayed for fleas.
That tying them out helps a lot.
Well, the line of dogs that I like is our favorite is the white-out hound. They're generally pretty good sized dogs, and the bigger they get, and the older I get, it's harder and harder to pull them around. They want to pull you around. So you got to kind of get them where they're controlled and they know what they're doing. I had a little buggy I keep up there by the barn, but it's out here now. And this morning, 30 minutes I had them out here, and we were running around. They were following the buggy and running beside the buggy. And I kind of try to teach them to load. They're kind of fat and big, and they ain't got the muscle developed to load yet, but they got the idea. They just can't do it. But it won't be long. You want to load? You want to load?
Want to load up? Load up.
Go on.
Load. Load up. Load up. Okay.
They're pretty good with the 2 feet, but they ain't good with all 4. So they know what the buggy is, and they know what the box is. And they don't mind getting in the box. I've got them in there plenty of times. I just ride around. I got a little step back there in their pen that I'll put out here. Sometimes they'll jump up on the step, and then they'll jump up in the buggy. They're still puppies. Some of these puppies, they're scared at first to get out, but they learn to get out. They learn to jump it down fine. Come on.
Probably letting them get in there naturally is probably better than forcing them up there, just kind of leaving it open. And
well, like I say, I got a little step out there that's about this tall. And they done pretty good with that. I've worked them a couple times a week on the step, get them to just kind of go through the motion to get up there. But I think that's one thing about the dogs, though, is at a certain point, you got to realize, oh, my dog, I see people pick up 2-year-old dogs and put in a truck. These dogs, once they get developed and they get up about a year, they can jump up on top of the dog box in the back of the truck. I mean, don't let them fool you that they can't do it. They can't do it because you're not kind of making them do it. But you know, when they're young, you don't want to. Save the making for when they're a year and a half. Right now, just kind of work with them and let them develop on their own.
Let them be puppies.
And let them be puppies. That's the main thing. But I say, in 2 months, that's going to change a little bit. They got to understand. But as I take them hunting and they get exposed to coon, they're going to want to get that buggy. They got right there.
We got Jim out here flying the drone around.
Well, if he stays up back there, if they learn to jump up there, I might get Jim to teach them more.
I know.
Hurry up, pup. What's up, pup?
how you get wipeout dogs to look up.
What I do is generally every night, so they're secure, I put them in a pen. Then I come out here in the morning, what I got going between 7 and 9, and I let them out, let them run around, and they stay on this 4 acres. This dog pen, I built it probably in the mid-90s. And it's found a lot of deer hounds. We run deer with dogs down here. It's had a few dogs that try to be coon hounds, but it actually had a couple pretty good coon hounds in it. Today, at nighttime, just more dark, I'll come out here, and these pups, they'll follow me back here, and I had no problem with them going in the pen. I've had dogs that kind of got wise, and they started to run off knowing I was locking them up. And a lot of times if it starts raining, they'll come out here lay. I'll see them laying in their doghouse. We had a whole bunch of rain lately, so I ain't seen them much of that, but they'll come lay out here in the pen. As you can see, the concrete cracked up from trees and roots. But like I say, 95, 2005, 50, it's about a 30-year-old dog pen. And I talked about too, you know, being responsible. I mean, as you age, your health isn't as good as it is. So some days you just really don't feel that good, and you be staying on a schedule. Most of my dogs, and this has been for a long time, I keep them on dog feeders. And a lot of people are against feeders. They want to feed them once a day. When they're pups, like I said, I feed them every day so I can see how they eat. But as they get older, I keep food by them. I want to give them something, a little bit extra something someday. I do that, but most of the time they got their feeders, and they got a good quality dog food in there. And if in the afternoon, if something happens, I'm feeling bad or something, I ain't got to come out here because they got food and they got water. And you know, I think it was a couple of days ago I got tied up. I had to go off early in the morning and got stuck. It was like 6 o'clock before I got back out here that evening. But they had feed. I didn't worry about them having feed.
Up. Ball, come on. Come here. Wrong side. Wrong side.
They're like my wife. They're going to be on the trolling ride. Well, I want to thank you all for stopping by this morning. I hope maybe something I said can help somebody, but the bottom line is to respect your hound, and they'll grow up and hopefully respect you. I want to thank Corey and Zach, 2 young men that coon hunt with me all the time, and now they coon hunt more than I do. As you get older, health lets you down sometimes, but I'll be back out there with them more and more as my health progresses. And I just want to thank the good Lord for blessing me with what I have. And until I get a chance to share some more stuff with you, y'all have a good day.